stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Milner. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy, and I want to welcome you to part one of this episode of the Unpleasant Blind Guy on EDL Radio. Now remember, if you want to contact me with comments, questions, show suggestions, Awesome American suggestions, I'm available at UBG Contact on Twitter, or I can also be found as Dave Milner or Agador, that's Aggedor, on Mumblet, the Tea Party Community, Spreely, Minds, MeWe, or Gab. Now let's begin.
It may be that the gulfs will wash us down. It may be we shall touch the happy isles and see the great Achilles whom we knew. Though much is taken, much abides, and though we are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are, we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield.
Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. I hope, indeed I pray, that we shall not be found unworthy of our victory, if after toil and tribulation it is granted to us. For the rest, we have to gain the victory. That is our task. Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duty, and so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its commonwealths last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.
We shall not fail or falter. We shall not weaken or tire. Neither the sudden shock of battle nor the long-drawn trials of vigilance and exertion will wear us down. Give us the tools, and we will finish the job.
We shall go on to the end. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
Yeah, we're not just coming down the road, but we're coming across the airways. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the English Defence League radio show, broadcasting live from blogtalkradio.com. The English Defence League radio show, the true fan and voice of the EDL. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we come to you with activity across the United Kingdom. The thrust of the politics once again. Let me read out the banner for the show this evening. I've got to thank my dear friend and colleague, Dave Agador Milner, my dear friend, for the great slides and the scripting for this evening. Let me read this out to you, ladies and gentlemen. English Defence League radio show, decision 2019. which century? 21st or 7th? Welcome to the English Defence League radio show with your host, Jeff Spider Mitchell, and my wingman for this evening is Dave Agador-Milner. Tonight, voters across the United Kingdom are deciding our nation's future. Will we reclaim our birthright of sovereignty, or will we give in to slavery? Will we choose the bright future of brotherhood or the dark past of the Islamic death cult? Regardless of the outcome, the English Defence League will always stand with the people and be a voice for our most vulnerable citizens. No surrender ever. All that is necessary for evil to prevail is that good men do nothing. And that was by the late great Edmund Burke. Those who make peace or revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable. And that was by the late great President John F. Kennedy. Without further ado, let me bring in my friend, my colleague, Dave Agador-Milner. Good evening, Dave. Hope you're well, my dear friend.
And a good evening to you, Jeff. And a good election evening to everyone in the UK. Good afternoon to everybody in the United States. Hello to everyone around the world and, of course, off Earth. Yes, Jeff, it's an exciting evening of election madness in the UK. Polls still open.
Oh, sorry.
Yes,
sorry.
Yeah. I get you, brother.
Oh, dear. Sorry about that.
Yeah. That's all right. Well, yeah, our executive producer, Charlie, is sitting up.
I know I've been rather flippant with yawning, but politics is really boring to me. It also has been. I can't pretend that the only exciting thing I can find is that the common sense prevails and that we speed forth with our Brexit plans for the future and our sovereignty, which you highlighted in the script. But politics has never been a forte of mine. I just hope and I pray that the good people, my people, the nation, does the right thing and common sense does prevail. I mean, anything other, it'd be a degradation of people's duty, because you've got one party who's totally anti-Semitic, and once again that's been in the highlight. It's been highlighted in a few stories this week. I'm not going to say who it is. I don't have to, Dave, because it's out there, isn't it? And of course, hopefully we'll see the end of this disgusting party of theirs out there. It'd be nice, wouldn't it, Dave? You know, Bill, it'd be nice to see common sense prevail. That people get the right thing, 17.4 million of us actually voted for almost 4 years ago. I can't believe it, Dave. Almost 4 years ago, we went to the polls and we voted to get out of the EU. And with all this and their betrayal and this, that and the other, and once again, 2 elections on, we're still not sure what the outcome's going to be. But I don't pray. We're all getting a bit weary with the battle. You know, we want to see us, as a sovereign people, once again take control of this great nation of ours, Dave. After so many years of, let's say, political parties betraying and saying one thing, doing another, talking out one side of the face, doing the other on the other. It's what we've been so... That's why people get so disillusioned with politics, isn't it, Dave? Not just this side, but the other side of the pond and the equation as well, isn't it, Dave? We get weary of it, don't we? Back to you, mate.
All right. Well, I just wanted to tell people that our executive producer, Charlie, who you heard from while Jeff was talking, is sitting on Jeff's shoulder, and just to make sure he doesn't fall asleep when we talk about politics, she'll give him a little kiss on the ear once in a while, just so that he stays awake and stays with us. It's kind of understandable.
Start talking about politics. She pulls her feathers out, Dave. That's how bad it is. You can't, Dave.
Well, yeah, and the frustration the people in the UK are feeling about Brexit is pretty much the same frustration that conservatives over here in the States are feeling towards the establishment Republican Party. So it's completely understandable, that feeling. But people are going to the polls, and we'll get into some of that. But before we do, we have a fairly big podcast family among us here in the real new mainstream media. And one of our chief, I don't want to say fans, because she's a little bit more than that. She's the kind of critic that a lot of us podcasters need. She offers a complete, no BS critique of what we do, and that is valuable beyond compare. She doesn't just say, oh, hey, everything's great, or she doesn't say, oh, hey, everything sucks. If we do well, she lets us know. If we could improve one or two things, she lets us know. If we're off base, she lets us know. If we're dead wrong, in her opinion, she lets us know. And that lady who is so valuable to us is Mary Brockman. Guys, when you're doing your prayers, please remember Mary Brockman and her family. This evening, she lost her son-in-law, Jim Durbin, who was 53 years old. He lived in Sabina, Ohio, and he died Tuesday night from a rather aggressive cancer that had reached his brain. He had been suffering with chemotherapy and things of that nature, and he is in a much better and more comfortable place at this moment. So if you guys could please remember their family in your prayers, that would be much appreciated. Now, Jeff, what I thought I'd do for those not familiar with the process in the UK would be to just kind of go through a sort of a timeline of how things work there with your general elections, okay? Because the polls close at 10 p.m. in the UK, and that is 5 p.m. Eastern in the United States, and our show will end right at about 10 p.m. in the UK.
Well, yeah,
so
our show finishes as the polls close. So, so we will, we won't know exactly. I'll just get a good feeling that the way I feel at the moment that things will turn out right, but you don't know. But as I say, this show finishes at 10 o'clock as the polls close, and then the counting begins. I think that's the process, isn't it, Dave? That's what they normally do. A busy time all across the country. This, election day, up and down the country is always a busy time, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, that it is, Jeff. And I'm going to just go ahead and read at least bits here of this article that I found in the mail by Daniel Martin, okay, and Tim Stickings, okay. This was put out, of course, yesterday. Headline on this, guys, if you want to go looking for it, I love this. Can you take a selfie in a voting booth when the polls close, and when will the first seats be declared? That's the first seats in Parliament, guys. Okay, your guide to polling day and the nail-biting results, night to follow. Now, to give you guys in the United States a little bit of perspective, by about 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, the results should be known, okay? Those of you who wake up and actually work for a living and wake up to go to work, you'll have a pretty good idea who won, but it'll be then. It's very much unlike what goes on here in the United States with the crazy exit polling, and we pretty much know who the president is by about 10, 11 o'clock over here. Now, I'm going to read the bullet points, guys. Early results in labor strongholds in the Northeast could show early signs of a swing to the Conservatives. And Jeff shared a story with me earlier that said some of the polling, and guys always take polling with a salt lick. People in the UK never let polls prevent you from going out and voting your conscience. And I would say that to my American brothers and sisters too. Don't let them snow you. Next bullet point. Results will come pouring in from around 3 a.m. That's about 10 p.m. here in the United States, Eastern, with big names including Lane Duncan Smith at risk of losing. Okay, the next bullet point. Tory strategists will be eyeing victory in Labour heartlands, including Workington, Ashfield, and Green Grimsby. And I got all those names right. Aren't you proud of me, Jeff? Now.
I am, mate. I'm definitely proud of you. Well done.
The last.
Well done, that, mate.
Thanks. The last bullet point. Send us. Oh my God! I don't even know if I want to read this, but this just shows the idiocy that goes on with the press on these election days. You'll love this, guys. Send us your pictures of dogs at polling stations. You got to be kidding me! And they give an email address, and I'm not even going to read that out. They're just dumb. How about cats? Why can't somebody send a picture of a cat at a polling station or a lizard? What a bunch of racists, Jeff! Come on. Okay, now they have a lot of little things here, and I'm going to try and go through them just to save time, because we do have some other stories, guys, which, may reflect how you want to run out and vote, may not, but I think are kind of indicative of a few things, and we're going to get to those, but, we'll just go through this timeline a bit just to familiarize people. Okay, the polls did open at 7 a.m. in the UK. Just before I went to bed. I went to bed about 4 o'clock in the morning here, Eastern, in the United States, and people were already out there at 9 o'clock in the morning voting. So that was when the polls opened. They opened at 7 o'clock. All right, at 10. Now this is sadly what we're going to miss out on, because we're not going to extend the show. Okay, but you guys should go and look at the papers are all the same. Okay. Check out maybe the Mail Online, the Express, places like that for this important information. It will come up at 10 p.m. Okay, exit poll. Polls close, and the BBC, ITV, and Sky, all of which I spit upon, and so does Jeff, will reveal the results of their combined exit poll. So that may be when you guys in the UK. Yeah, there you go, Jeff. Yeah. Jeff will be listening to Fox, or the golden oldies. Yeah, exactly.
I'll get my results from Fox, because I don't want to engage with the other lot.
Oh yeah, and actually, guys, we're going to have a story about the BBC, which I found rather fascinating, Jeff, and I think you will too. I don't think you saw the outline for the show, but I think you're going to dig it. We'll see.
I did,
okay.
I was just wondering about that, Dave. Okay. I wanted you to share it. I know we got the bullet points from it, but I'm fascinated by the story. Please go ahead, brother.
Okay, well, I'm doing it right now, man. I'm doing it live. Yeah. 11 p.m. will be. There you go. 11 p.m. will be the first results. So that'll be about 6 p.m. here in the United States Eastern, and these will be the first actual results of them getting the votes counted. And they kind of codify where those results are going to be. At 12 p.m. in the UK will be that'll be about. About 7 p.m. in the United States, they'll get results from more Labour strongholds. Now, remember, guys, Jeff will tell you this, too. A lot of Labour MPs voted against Brexit, helped to stop Brexit, things of that nature, and the constituencies that they had, even though they voted Labour, they voted for leave. They voted for Brexit. So those could be some rather interesting results right there. Now,
well, you would think so, Dave, when the constituents have been betrayed. I think we're going to find some amazing results for the evening when they start coming. I do honestly believe that. I don't have to go by what the polls say or anything like that. I go by my feeling of the betrayal of the people. This is it. You know, it's the silent majority. You know, is what we saw with Brexit. They're the silent majority, and you're going to hear. It's just going to be silent. It's going to be a roaring big noise. That people's had enough of the bullshit with what we've seen over the years. Excuse my language, but it has to be said, doesn't it? So go ahead, brother.
All right. Now, about 8:30 p.m. here in the United States Eastern, some of the results from key marginal areas will start to come in. Then, at about 8 p.m. in the United States, the results will be getting a little bit more thick, a little bit more heavy, picking up a little bit. Okay, and they give you various areas here where this is going to happen. Now, you'll see for people who are listening who are from Scotland, 2:30 a.m. is when you're going to begin getting some of your results from some of your key marginal areas. Okay, that's going to be 2:30 a.m. there, 9:30 p.m. in the United States. Okay, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. All right, and some of the bigger names on the ballot will start to show up. The results for at about 10 p.m. here in the States. Okay, so about the time that I'm hoping I'm going to be finished up editing this thing for Spreaker.com and the Unpleasant Blind Guy page, we'll be getting some of the major results over here in the United States, at least for some of the seats. Okay, 3:30 a.m. they'll run the conservative bellwethers. Okay, and that's going to be about 10:30 p.m. here in the United States. That's going to be in Taunton's. It's also going to be in Hastings and Rye. Yeah, places like that. Now, high-profile marginals will come through, results for those at about 4 a.m., and that's going to be at about 11 p.m. U.S. Eastern. That'll be in time for the 11 o'clock news out here in the United States on the East Coast. The final results will begin trickling in the UK at about 6 a.m. tomorrow, okay? And that's going to be about 1 a.m. our time. So we'll have a pretty darn good idea at that point who won, okay? And, of course, I love how they put this. 7 a.m., that's going to be 2 a.m. here in the United States, Eastern. 7 a.m., the fallout begins. So, 7 to 8 a.m., that's when everybody's going to come out, make their speeches and all that stuff. So there you go, guys. There is a kind of a timeline, just so you have a notion of what's going on. And like I say, you go to the Daily Mail, you can find that at the headline that I gave you. So, Jeff, your views, man.
I mean, after it's all been said and done and the victors have gained their victory, this, that, and the other, hopefully, between the Conservatives and Brexit Party, hopefully any other parties but the Labour Party, which I hope will end up in 6th position, if that's possible. But once all's been said and done, the next thing on the agenda is the Parliament. They go in and fumigate because you got the smell of sweaty socks and urine. You know, I'm saying, Dave, it's a pretty smelly place.
Right,
you know, that's what they normally do after the elections and has been put in place. You know, and a bit of a breeze blowing around. You know, make the place freshening up a bit before they come back into Parliament. And interesting, interesting times. Right on Christmas time, though, isn't it, Dave? Right on Christmas time. You know, it's
that too, man.
Well, I'm really excited, Dave.
Well, if the right people win, what they should do, just to protect everybody, is first of all, as you say, roll in a couple of Febreze grenades. Okay, you got to get rid of that smell. That's to start with. Then you got to bring in about a dozen Christian preachers to kind of exorcise the place, and maybe ask President Trump if he would ask some of our American Indian shamans to come over and help out a little bit, get a little bit of that going up in there.
If you can have a word with Mr. Trump. I know he's been a bit busy lately, but if you can have a quiet word in his show, like Dave, and say we would appreciate him if he brings over a few shamans with him.
Jeff, you know what, man? Since it's you, I'll give the president a call right after the show is over, man. I got the hotline.
Give him my best and tell him to stuff the what they trying to do, impeach him, stuff the impeachment, onward and forward, brother. Just tell him that from Jeff, yeah?
I will. And by the way, he says back to you from your last greeting. He says, hello, Jeff, and he wants to thank Charlie and Bluey personally for the serenade. He really enjoyed it. But Jeff,
knowing your president, Dave, he surely would say something like that. He's so unpredictable with things that he says, and that's why I think people like him so much, because he's a breath of fresh air. He doesn't talk like, he takes the piss out. He says, I'm not a traditional politician or a president, when he gives a stiff lip, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. He's not like that. That's why I've always liked him, because he does make me laugh. He's got a bit of a showman way about him, and he does get the crowds going, doesn't he? You know what I mean, Doug? I wish we had. I really do. I mean, Bobo, he's got that ability about him. He is a funny man, but he is
a bit. Yeah.
I would say Bobo's more of an eccentric, like a mad professor type of thing,
Sure. Yeah.
Quite honestly, I've grown to warm to him quite a lot lately. Some of the things he said, I've big respect to him, I'm a good piss taker. You know me, Dave. I'll take the piss when I need to take the piss.
Of course, yeah, of course.
But, when it comes to doing the right things, I stand with him, and,
he's doing the right thing,
things go well for him. He's different. He's different from all the other politicians we've known before. He said things in the past which I've disapproved of, and you know that, Dave. We spoke about that in other shows. But he is the right man to lead the country, especially with the Brexit. He has been right behind the Brexit, and I respect him for that. And so does the country, so does patriots across the country. Anyway, Dave, back to you, brother.
Well, Jeff, I think you're going to respect him a little bit more. Now, we'll have to see whether or not this is going to be real or an empty promise, and this is going to be dependent on him winning. But I think you're going to like this. Guys, this comes from Breitbart, just over 3 minutes long, 3 minutes and 7 seconds. This came from the 10th, okay? Jeff, if you're ready, I'm going to roll this, and I think you're going to like it. You ready?
Yeah, go for it, Dave.
All right, guys, you are listening to the English Defense League radio show, and this here is from Breitbart.
Boris to consider abolishing BBC television tax, by Victoria Friedman on December 10, 2019. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has questioned whether taxing everyone who has a television to fund the BBC is justifiable, saying that a new Conservative government would look into scrapping the TV license fee. Prime Minister Johnson made the comments during a rally in Sunderland on Monday, saying he was certainly looking at it. He continued, "You have to ask yourself if that kind of approach to funding a media organization still makes sense on the long term given the way other organizations manage to fund themselves." the system by funding out of what is effectively a general tax on everybody who has a TV. It bears reflection, let me put it that way. How long can you justify a system whereby everybody who has a TV has to pay to fund a particular set of channels? He added. The television license costs £154.50 a year and will stay in place until at least 2027 when the BBC Royal Charter expires. Those who watch live television and do not have a TV license, regardless of whether they watch the BBC or not, are liable to financial penalties, with unpaid fines being escalated to a court appearance, possible prosecution, and even imprisonment. The BBC had agreed in 2015 to accept responsibility for funding over 75's free television license which had before been covered by the government. However, the broadcaster, which brings in £3.6 billion annually from taxing television owners, now says it cannot afford to do so. Mr. Johnson criticized the BBC for denying senior citizens exemption from the tax, saying, I certainly think the BBC should cough up and pay for the over 75's license fee as they promised to do. The BBC came under criticism from MPs during a Commons Committee meeting in July after a representative of the broadcaster confirmed that outreach officers would be visiting old people's homes to remind them that from June 2020, they will have to pay the TV tax. Lawmakers compared the procedures to the punitive visitations that enforcement offers made to license fee avoiders and said that such calls could be distressing for seniors. BBC panics as younger Britons switch off. A report has revealed that young people are abandoning the BBC in favor of online subscriptions, putting into question whether the license fee is justifiable in future. The Times reported on Tuesday that an internal BBC document admitted that youth viewership is dangerously close to the brink with fewer than half of 16-34-year-olds watching the BBC channels in any given week. The leaked document also revealed that the fall is not being offset by younger Britons watching the BBC's iPlayer online. Broadcasting watchdog Ofcom warned in October that if young people do not view the BBC as a core part of their viewing, then public support for the license fee could become eroded and the BBC may not be sustainable in its current form.
And that is it for this time. Next time, Part 2. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening, and may your God go with you. Goodbye. The Unpleasant Blind Guy is copyright 2020. Anno Domini. Now for Dave's Canes. Extras that help you navigate the new media world.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunetz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunetz.
This is Shannon Wright of The Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Mike's not here, so I gotta talk fast. You gotta join us. Fall season. Getting ready to start up with a whole bunch of new stuff. News and food and politics and sports and entertainment and a whole bunch of stuff. But wait, Mike's coming. I gotta go. Remember, Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media, Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. Make sure you tune in.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America, one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
Join me, Jack Alexander, for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the issues affecting the USA. I fearlessly take on the issues that everyone else is too scared to touch. The Jack Alexander Experiment podcast is available wherever good podcasts can be found, like Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast. The Jack Alexander Experiment, because it's not a matter of left versus right, it's a matter of right versus wrong.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Featuring the effervescent contrarian sackheads Clint plus the unrestrained bulbosity of BZ, the Sackheads Against Tyranny is a real chat show. Doubling your late-night conservative talk show pleasure with double the hosts, you can listen every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Please note, some contents may have settled during shipping. Member FDIC, batteries not included, warranty void in Montenegro.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.